Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm showing you how to make my free 3D paper ornaments just in time for Christmas. These designs are really pretty and they'll look beautiful on your tree this festive season. And these are really clever because you don't actually need any glue apart from to add the little coloured backings, but the backings are optional. So if you leave those out and just leave your windows so that they're see-through, no glue is needed at all to make these little ornaments. There are 3 designs to choose from. There's this one with the Santa sleigh. There's one with some Christmas pictures in the sides. And one with some pretty little delicate snowflakes. Let's get started. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-svgs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then go into Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the files on your computer or drag and drop them in. Make sure you choose your unzipped version of the folder and within there go into SVG files. These are the files that are compatible with a Cricut. And we've got 3 in here, one called SVG Ornament Christmas, which has the little Christmassy pictures in each of the sides. You've got one with a sleigh and reindeer design, and the one I'm going to use for mine, which is snowflakes. So I'll click and drag mine in, and this is what it looks like. Go ahead and press upload and then it will appear in your recent uploads. So that's the one I've just done, and these are the other ones that I loaded in a little bit earlier. Press add to canvas and here it is. It loads in at the correct size and there's nothing you need to do to this file. It is literally just load it and then cut it. The only thing you might want to change is that if you're not going to be cutting the little coloured sections to sit underneath the pattern, if you'd rather have yours open so that you can see through the gaps, then you can delete these 6 little solid pieces. To do that, click on the design, ungroup the layers by pressing the ungroup button up here, and then you can drag a box around those 6 pieces and press delete on your keyboard or hit the trash can icon at the top of the layers panel to get rid of them. I'm going to keep my nose, so let's undo that. The other thing you might want to do is change the colours to what colour you're going to cut them out of, just to see if you like how that's looking before you get started. So I could maybe do those from a dark blue and these ones from a lighter blue. And the easy way to change everything at once is once you've chosen one colour, press Colour Sync at the top of the layers panel, and then you can click and drag. So all of this kind of mauvey purple, I'm going to drag to that dark and it changes everything in one go. And I can do the same with those. And then if you want to, you can position one of the little matte pieces over one of the sides and go Arrange, Center Back, just to get an idea of how those 2 colours are going to go together. When you're happy with how everything is looking, click on Make It, and that will separate out your colours for you. You can change the paper size in here, and if you want, you can drag and drop things around to use up less space. For these ornaments, it works best with kind of a medium weight cardstock. You don't want anything that's really light and flimsy, otherwise it will struggle to hold its shape. But likewise, you don't want anything really thick like craft board or thick glitter card, because then it becomes a little bit tricky to put together because it's just a little bit heavy and the sides don't go in quite as well. So you're aiming for just kind of a general piece of cardstock, and it looks best if you're your cardstock is the same colour on both sides, try not to use white backed cardstock where it's pretty on the front and then white on the back, because you will see an awful lot of both sides of the card and it just doesn't quite look as good if half of your sides are showing as white and half of them are your nice pretty colour. But go ahead, get everything cut out, and then we'll see how to slot together our clever little no glue baubles. Here are all the pieces of my bauble cut out. The first thing to do is to glue the backings to the individual sides if you've decided to use them. I am going to use them for this one, so I've got all of my little cutouts available and I'm going to turn them upside down so that I'm looking at the back of the card. Just getting them all over. And then take some glue, ideally in a bottle with a really thin nozzle on it, or you can get a needle tip applicator bottle to add your glue into. And then depending on the design, this one's quite easy because it's just got the snowflakes cut out. If you're working with one like this, then you just need to be careful to just add the glue around the edges and little bits in the middle of the patterns. But for this one, I can afford to be a bit more generous. So I'm just going to add my glue gently. You still don't want loads. Just around there. Take one of the backings and place it on. Be very gentle. You don't want to smush the glue out of the gaps, otherwise you might see it even when it's dry. So that's why I'm being really light fingered with my glue, and I'm not pushing down heavily when I add the backings. And I'm going to go ahead and do this for all of my sections. That's all of the pieces added. I'm going to add them to one side now so they can really dry. You want to make sure that the glue is completely dry before you use them, otherwise those backing bits can pop off again when we try and turn them. So while that's drying, we'll make the main section of the bauble. And this comes in 3 different pieces, and you want to get these in the correct order. The first one to pick up is the one with the hanging section on the top, the little circle. The second one is the one where at the bottom there are 2 little slits. So if I do that, actually that's easier to see. There's one there and one there along the bottom. And then the third one is the one with just 1 slit on the bottom. So pick up number 1 and 2, and then the second one slides in to the top like that. And then gently and carefully slide it into the bottom. So you'll end up with something that looks like this. Fold it flat, take the third one and do the same thing. So we'll start by putting it over the slit here, and then carefully, without folding the card or bending it, slot it into the bottom. And now you've got 6 sides. It won't stand up yet because it doesn't have a flat base on it, but this is how it kind of all folds out. And now we can add in the circles that give it the stability and form the main shape. These are the same, so it doesn't matter which one you do first. So I've closed it up. I'm just going to slot one of those circles in, and this goes right at the top. And it's a little bit fiddly, but what we're essentially going to try and do, or we're not going to try, we're actually going to do it, is all of these little slots in the very edge of the circle are going to fit in these tiny little cutouts. There's one on each side. And it can be a bit tricky to start with. Normally once you've got a few in, it gets easier. And you might want to do it in sections to make it easier. So pull one in one side, then go up a little bit more on some of the other bits, and just keep doing it gradually rather than trying to force it, because if you force it, you can end up ripping the card. So that's 2, 3. If it starts getting tight like this, just try gently rolling the sides around until they're in place. And then you need to make sure that they're completely tucked into those little tabs. Which they are. Excellent. So now we can see that. It should be nice and flat along that bottom. And then get your second circle and do the same thing. This time it's going in the bottom. We've got matching slots to put this in. You might find the bottom one's a little easier because you've already got some of the shape from the top. Right, I'm not sure how well you can actually see that, but now my bottom section is in 2. So that's the basics of my ornament all done. All we have to do now is add in the sides and then thread some ribbon through the top. Turn your sides around the correct way so you can make sure you're putting them on in the right order. For instance, this one has an alternating pattern of 2 different ones. So I just want to make sure I don't put 2, or is it 3? 3 different ones. I want to make sure that I don't put the same ones next to each other. There we go. When putting these in, I find it easier just to gently sort of give the edges a little bit of a bend, just the tiniest bit to help it find its shape. And all you need to do is take one of the little side bits, put it through the gap in the top until the little rectangles go through the gap, and then bend it a little bit. Not enough to crease, just a slight bend so that you can fit the bottom bit in there. And that will hold it really securely in place. And then we'll do the same for all of the other sides. And if you do kind of get your pattern wrong, do them in the wrong order, you can just pop them out and rearrange it because they're not glued in. And I messed that one up a bit and it just completely couldn't find the hole, but I got there. And that's because I didn't start the bend off. I was too busy chatting, that's what it was. Okay, in the top. That one's easier. In the bottom. Next one, in the top and the bottom. Make sure it's pulled through all the way. 2 left. In there and through the bottom. The last one is often the trickiest to put in. You might just need to sort of wiggle everything else around a little bit. Start off that bend and then in the top and through the bottom. And there's my beautiful ornament with all of its sides on there. And now it will stand up. And all there is left to do is get some ribbon. This isn't the best colour choice, but it's what I could find. And then, however you want to tie your knot. This might actually be a bit thick for my hole. Let's see. Nope, that'll go through fine. And then I can tie that up into a pretty little bow, which I won't do on camera because I find it very difficult to tie pretty little bows. Let's just do a knot for now. And there's my hanging Christmas bauble or ornament, all finished. And that's that one. Oh, it's going to fall over. Also included in the free download is this design, which has some little Christmas characters on each side, and a Santa sleigh and reindeer design, which looks like this. So I'd love to know what you think of these baubles. Is it something that you'd like more designs of? If so, what kind of designs do you want to see? I'm also really interested to know if you would like me to provide a blank template with no pictures in the middle so that you could add your own pictures in Cricut Design Space. If that's something that you would like a tutorial on, then please leave me a comment and let me know. And if there is a good amount of interest in that, then that's something that I'll work on. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make 3D paper baubles that don't need any gluing, as long as you don't add the little bases. If you do, you'll need to glue them, but the actual ornament itself doesn't need gluing. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and Christmas fun. Thank you for watching. Bye!